We all want to get the very most we can out of every single day. And what if I told you there is one simple strategy we could use where you could increase your productivity by 16 times? Yes, it's true. Many of you already know of this philosophy. It's called the Pareto principle, but most of you will recognize it as the rule of 80-20. We actually learned this rule way early in our childhood, mostly in elementary school, where we were paired together in groups to do group work. Now, most of you didn't like group work. Why? Because you recognized that you had to do all of the work while other people weren't working at all. That is to say that 20% of any group is doing 80% of the work. Now, this principle continues through all different aspects of our life. Think on this for a minute. Recall the last time you were stuck in traffic. You'll recognize that 80% of our traffic jams happen in 20% of the areas. Think about the last time you went to the bar. Most of you will recognize that 20% of the drinkers drink 80% of the beer. Go home and look in your closets today and you'll see that you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Pareto principle is a true principle. It's a rule of 80 and 20. But what does that mean for us? And what does that mean for our productivity? The Pareto principle also says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. That is, the very best 20% of what you do during the day is 16 times more productive than the other 80%. Knowing that, I have to ask, what are your 20%ers? What is it during the course of your day that is just vital, where you get the very best results from? You know, as a business owner, I've had to consider this myself and determine what is it that gets me the very best bang for my buck. And I've narrowed everything that I could do down to 3 primary things that get me the very most during my day. First and foremost is strong preparation so that I can deliver the very best presentation, training, or speech possible for future events. This includes me taking time to read, to study, to research, and develop curriculum. Second most important for me is delivering this very powerful and effective speech, training, or presentation. I've got to deliver it. I've got to be good. And so that comes up as number 2. And number 3, I hate to say it, but it's cold calling, that good old prospecting. I've noticed in my business that almost all of my great leads have come from picking up the phone, stopping by a place, or sending an email. Now, I could try to convince myself that time spent on LinkedIn or any other kinds of social media, or time updating my webpage, time writing a book, time organizing my office could all be justified. But after closely looking at what really gets me results, those are secondary. Those are my 80%ers. You see, genius is the ability to reduce the complicated into the simple. Genius, that is the ability to identify those 20%ers in our work and our personal life. So I ask you again, what are your 20%ers? Now, before I close this message, let me give one more add-on, particularly to leaders. You see, the 80-20 rule applies to leadership too. Unfortunately, we have it backwards. We find that we spend 80% of our people time with our bottom 20% of employees. I challenge you to reverse that. I challenge you to start spending 80% of your people time that you have over the course of a day with your highest top 20 performers. And let's just see what happens when you give them the time, the money, the attention, and the resources that they need to be successful in their job. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this short little tip called the Pareto Principle. Best of luck and find those 20%ers.